Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Good morning, Sacramento. You're tuning in to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan, ready to connect those dots for you on this Friday, September 5th, 2025.
Absolutely. Looks like a pretty nice day shaping up here locally, becoming sunny with a high around 87. Pretty comfortable.
Nice. Now, nationally, keep an eye out if you're traveling or have folks in the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. There are some severe thunderstorms rolling through.
Right, and maybe some flash flooding possible out in the southwest, extending into Saturday. So yeah, stay safe out there.
Definitely. Quick check on the markets before we jump in.
Yeah, let's do it. So the Dow Jones closed up yesterday, Thursday the 4th, gained about 416 points, so not bad, almost 1%, up 0.85% for the week too.
Okay, decent momentum. And the S&P?
S&P 500 also finished up yesterday at about 45 points. That's 0.7%, and actually over 1% up for the week. So market's feeling pretty positive.
Good. And our favorite digital coin?
Bitcoin. Let's see. Right now it's trading around $113,023. It's up over 2% just today, about $2,300.
Wow.
Yeah, and up almost 3.5% for the week. Still climbing.
Interesting times in crypto. All right, anything on the sports front? Giants playing.
Well, no nail biters to report on the Giants front today. They actually had the day off yesterday, September 4th.
Okay. Little breather for them then.
Yeah, maybe needed it.
All right, with that out of the way, grab your coffee because we've got some fascinating tech stories from the Morning Star to unpack today.
Okay, let's unpack this first one. Imagine waiting for years, literally years, for a video game you're super hyped about, and then the launch day comes, and it basically, it breaks the internet. That's pretty much what happened with Hollow Knight Silksong yesterday.
Yeah, this wasn't just some minor glitch. Silksong, for folks who might not know, is the sequel to Hollow Knight.
Which was huge. Critically acclaimed, sold, over 15 million copies?
Exactly. And Silksong started life as just DLC, downloadable content, but it just kept growing.
Right. The developers, Team Cherry, they kind of let it breathe,
Right.
Avoided that development hell trap and let it become this full standalone adventure. You play as Hornet, another character from the first game.
And that long wait, that organic growth, it just built this incredible anticipation.
Which then led to yesterday's avalanche. Meltdown.
Yeah, meltdown feels about right. The game launched September 4th. And almost instantly, people reported errors everywhere. Steam, the Nintendo eShop, PlayStation Store, Xbox. Even Game Pass subscribers were having trouble.
What kind of errors? Like slow downloads.
Worse. People couldn't buy it, couldn't download it if they did manage to buy it. Score pages weren't loading, couldn't even add it to their carts.
Wow.
Down Detector, the site that tracks outages. They saw this huge spike, over 11,000 reports just for Steam related to this.
11,000 just for Steam.
Yep. And get this, the Humble Store, another place selling keys. They ran out of Steam keys for North America completely.
Yeah.
Just gone.
That is insane demand. But here's the kicker, right?
This is the crazy part. Despite all that chaos, people unable to buy or download. Within 45 minutes of launch, there were over 100,000 people playing it concurrently on Steam.
100,000? Wait, how does that compare to the original game?
The original Hollow Knight's all-time peak, its record number of players at once, was 72,000.
So Silksong beat the original's all-time record in under an hour, even while the stores were crashing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It just shows the sheer unstoppable force of that fan base and that pent-up demand.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for everyone listening, I think. This wasn't some unknown indie game blowing up unexpectedly, right?
No, the hype was massive and very visible for years.
Right. Team Cherry took their time, focused on quality. So what does this tell us? For you listening, if you've ever tried to grab Taylor Swift tickets or, download the latest Marvel movie the second it drops.
You know the pain.
You know that frustration when the servers just melt. For businesses, though, this is a huge lesson. You have to anticipate demand, obviously, but maybe you also need to anticipate, super demand, viral demand.
And scale your infrastructure accordingly. Because even with amazing hype, if people can't actually get your product,
it hits sales, it hits the customer experience, your brand image. It shows the incredible power of a dedicated fan base, definitely, but also the massive challenge of delivering when that fan base shows up all at once.
and we should mention The game itself is only $20.
Right, or it's on Game Pass day one. And they're even giving a free upgrade to the Switch 2 version for folks who buy it on the original Switch.
It's a great value if you could get it. A real stress test for digital stores.
Definitely. Okay, so from digital infrastructure buckling, let's shift gears.
Let's do it. When we connect this to the bigger picture, the commercial space race is really heating up. And it's not just about building bigger rockets anymore. It's also about logistics, the ground game.
Right. And we're seeing two really different stories play out this week. Let's start with SpaceX. Everyone knows them. Remember those amazing side-by-side Falcon Heavy booster landing?
Oh, yeah. Iconic footage.
Yeah.
At landing zones 1 and 2 at Cape Canaveral.
Well, get this. SpaceX is actually giving those landing zones back to the U.S. Space Force.
Really? Why would they do that?
They're not downsizing. They're building 2 new landing zones, but they're putting them right next to their launch pads over in Florida.
Ah, okay. Consolidation.
Exactly. The Space Force wants to co-locate launch and landing. Apparently, it frees up land for other launch companies because it's getting crowded out there. But it also reduces the size of evacuation zones needed and helps avoid scheduling conflicts between launches and landing.
Makes sense. Streamlining the whole operation. And speaking of ramping up.
Yeah, they just got the green light from the FAA to more than double their Falcon 9 launches from one specific pad, Space Launch Complex 40.
Double. From what to what?
From 50 launches per year up to potentially 120.
Wow. 120 from just one pad.
Yeah. And they already launched 62 times from there last year, so they're already pushing the old limit.
Yeah.
They're clearly ready to go full throttle.
That's a staggering launch cadence.
Yeah.
So SpaceX is streamlining, expanding, getting approvals.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at Rocket Lab, they're a serious competitor, right? California-based.
Definitely a competitor. They're working on their Neutron rocket.
Right, the Neutron. It's reusable, targeting 13 metric tons to low Earth orbit. That puts it squarely in competition with SpaceX's Falcon 9, which does about 22 tons.
So a capable rocket.
Right.
And it's supposed to launch soon.
That's the plan. Inaugural flight scheduled for this month, September. But here's the problem. It's not the rocket. It's mud.
Mud, seriously.
Literally. They need to get the big pieces of the rocket to the launch site on Wallops Island, Virginia. And the only way is by barge.
Okay.
But the channel leading to the facility isn't deep enough for the barges they need. They need to dredge up a mile-long channel, make it 7 feet deep.
And they need permission for that.
Yep. From the Army Corps of Engineers. Virginia signed off, but the federal approval is still pending.
Oh, wow. So the launch could be delayed because of dredging permits?
It's a real possibility. They're apparently even looking into this old-school sailing technique called kedging.
Kedging, what's that?
It's where you use anchors to basically winch or haul a ship through shallow water, like something from centuries ago. They might try that just to get the parts there on time.
That is wild. Talk about hitting a logistical snag.
Right. So while SpaceX is dealing with FAA approvals for more launches, Rocket Lab is figuring out how to deal with literal mud and maybe channel dredging.
So what does this contrast mean for you, the listener? I think we often focus on the shiny rockets, the amazing tech.
Explosions, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully fewer of those. But this really shows how critical the ground game is. The logistics, the infrastructure, the permits, it all matters.
Absolutely. It's not just about building the rocket. It's about getting it to the pad and launching it reliably and frequently.
And for us. Well, as companies like Rocket Lab push through these kinds of hurdles to compete with SpaceX, it ultimately drives innovation, probably leads to faster satellite deployment.
And maybe, eventually, cheaper access to space for everyone. It fuels that competition.
Yeah. And it's happening globally, too. We saw Israel just launched a new OFAC radar satellite.
The OFAC 19 SAR, yeah. Sees through clouds day or night. Very capable.
And some Canadian firms are investing in Spaceport, Nova Scotia, so it's a busy sector worldwide.
Okay, so from the challenges of reaching orbit, let's bring it much closer to home. Something really impacting public health policy right now.
Right. U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was testifying before the Senate Finance Committee yesterday, and the topic of COVID-19 vaccine access was a major focus.
Yeah, and it's a really complex issue. Lots of different viewpoints here.
Absolutely. And just to be clear up front, our aim here is just to lay out the different perspectives and the facts as reported in our sources, not to, take sides on the policy itself.
Right. So the core of the discussion yesterday seemed to be around Secretary Kennedy's claims. He stated repeatedly that his actions haven't restricted access to COVID vaccines and that, quote, everybody can get the shot. He said that directly to Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Okay. But is that actually the case on the ground? What are the reports saying?
Well, that statement seems misleading.
Yeah.
Based on current guidance and reports. The FDA recently updated its guidance for the COVID vaccines.
That's so.
They basically limited the approved groups. Now it's officially recommended primarily for those 65 and older, or people 6 months and older who have at least one underlying health condition.
So not a broad recommendation for everyone anymore.
Not from the FDA's current emergency use authorization, no. And this change is apparently having real-world consequences. We're seeing reports from multiple states where people, including some pretty vulnerable folks like cancer patients who fall outside those specific groups, are being denied access.
Denied access at pharmacies or...
Yeah, potentially at pharmacies or clinics because they don't fit the narrowed FDA criteria for who the shot is currently authorized for.
Okay, so Kennedy says everyone can get it, but the official guidance and practical access seem narrower now.
Exactly. And Senator Warren pushed back on this. She pointed out that when a vaccine isn't broadly recommended by the key public health bodies, it really affects insurance coverage.
Meaning you might have to pay out of pocket?
Potentially, yeah. Could be like $200, she suggested. And it also makes it harder to just walk into a pharmacy and get it over the counter like we could before.
Right. So which body makes those recommendations that affect insurance and pharmacy access?
That's the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP. They're the ones who issue the recommendations that doctors, insurers, and pharmacies generally follow.
Okay, and what's happening with ACIP?
Well, this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Secretary Kennedy recently replaced almost the entire panel. He dismissed all 17 previous experts, all of them, and installed 14 new members. And reports indicate that many of these new members have publicly expressed, let's say, skeptical or anti-vaccine views in the past.
Wow, okay. And this new committee is meeting soon.
Yep. They're scheduled to meet later this month, September 18th and 19th. Their recommendations, or lack thereof, will be really crucial for how accessible this latest COVID shot will be.
So, connecting the dots for you listening, what does this practically mean? If you're, say, under 65 and healthy, getting the updated COVID vaccine might not be straightforward anymore.
Right. You might need a doctor's prescription now, or you didn't before.
And you might have to pay for it yourself because insurance might not cover it without that broad ACP recommendation, that easy over-the-counter pharmacy access we got used to. That might be gone, or at least significantly reduced for many people.
It really highlights how changes in federal guidelines and even the makeup of these advisory committees can directly trickle down and affect your ability to access healthcare and what it costs you.
Yeah, it's a clear example of policy directly impacting personal health decisions and access.
Oh, yeah.
Again, we're just laying out the reported situation and the different factors at play.
Exactly. Important to understand the mechanics behind these decisions.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, quite a range of topics today.
For sure. So before we wrap up, here's one more thing to know. Today, we've connected the dots on a few key things. We saw how massive fan excitement for a game like Hollow Knight, Silksong, can literally stress test our digital world. We looked at the contrasting passes in the commercial space race, SpaceX, expanding aggressively, while Rocket Lab tackles some very down-to-earth logistical problems.
Right, the mud versus the permits.
And finally, we touched on the critical, ongoing debate about COVID-19 vaccine access, highlighting how policy shifts and committee changes can really affect public health availability for everyone.
Yeah, from digital storefronts breaking to rockets reaching for the stars and right down to how we access basic healthcare. It really shows how technology, infrastructure, and policy are all tangled together, shaping our lives every single day. Staying informed really helps us all navigate what's coming next.
Well said.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.